everyone, welcome back to Living for Eternity. Today we're diving into the incredible story of Joseph from the book of Genesis. It's a story about betrayal, redemption, and God's unfailing purpose. A reminder that no matter how bad things may seem, God is always working for good. Let's journey together through Joseph's life. Joseph's story begins in Genesis 37. He was the favored son of Jacob, and his father's love for him was symbolized by a beautiful, colorful robe. But Joseph's dreams, where his brothers bowed to him, fueled their jealousy. They plotted against him and sold him into slavery. Imagine the heartbreak of betrayal. Yet, Joseph's story was far from over. In Egypt, Joseph served in Potiphar's house. He worked hard and earned Potiphar's trust. But when Potiphar's wife falsely accused him of a terrible crime, Joseph was thrown into prison. Here's where Joseph's character shines. Despite being falsely accused, we don't hear him complain or question God. Instead, Joseph trusted that God's plans were higher than his understanding, as Isaiah 55:8-9 says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways." While in prison, Joseph interpreted dreams for Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker. He made it clear that his ability came from God, saying,
"Do not interpretations belong to God?"
The cupbearer was freed. He forgot about Joseph. It must have been heartbreaking, but Joseph remained faithful. 2 years later, Pharaoh had troubling dreams. The cupbearer finally remembered Joseph, who was brought before Pharaoh. Joseph not only interpreted the dreams, predicting the 7 years of abundance followed by 7 years of famine, but also offered wisdom on how to prepare. Again, Joseph gave all the credit to God. From the pit to the palace, Joseph's humility and faith in God's plan were evident. He didn't boast or seek revenge. Instead, he became a leader who saved countless lives, including his own family. When Joseph's brothers came to Egypt seeking food, they didn't recognize him. Joseph had every reason to punish them, but instead, he forgave them. In Genesis 50:20, he reassured them,
"You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives."
Joseph's story reminds us that God's plans are bigger than our present circumstances. Romans 8:28 tells us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." Like Joseph, we may not understand the hardships we face, but we can trust that God is weaving something beautiful. Joseph's journey also shows us how God transforms our character. The once arrogant boy who bragged about his dreams became a humble man who gave all glory to God. His trials weren't wasted. They molded him into the leader God needed him to be. So what can we learn from Joseph's story? First, trust God's bigger plan, even when life doesn't make sense. Second, live with humility, always pointing back to God. And finally, remember that what others mean for evil, God can use for good. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Living for Eternity. Let me know in the comments how Joseph's story encouraged you. Until next time, keep living for eternity!